Hello, welcome back to another episode of Jen's Den. I am Jennifer Blankel, your certified relationship and marriage coach. And today I want to talk about something that comes up so often in my coaching sessions. I have the honor of coaching individuals and couples. I coach men, I coach women, and I coach couples, and I coach groups as well. But I want to say that this comes up. This is probably one of the most common pain points and topics that is brought up in my coaching sessions, and that is the 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 pain and frustration that occurs when a love partner expresses their feelings to another love partner, and they are really, with so much loving intent, wanting to convey their feelings to their partner, and it just turns into a crapshoot. It turns negative. It turns ugly, and you know, both parties are left confused, frustrated, angry, feeling rejected, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal in relationships. So I'm talking about when we really need to convey our feelings, and let's expand this beyond our love partners. Let's talk about when we need to express our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings to anyone in this life, and we are met with upset from the person receiving our feelings. They're not happy with us, and we're wondering why. Or maybe oftentimes we're on the receiving end of this. Maybe you're listening to me going, "No, Jen, I'm on the receiving end of this." My love partner or my friend tends to vent at me their feelings, and it's an awful experience for me. you know so I want to say that I think we humans are in a little bit of a we're in a little bit of a evolutionary trap. I feel in my heart this is something that evolution should have fixed a while back, which is the way we do express our hurt and our upset. If you think about it, the way we solve problems, the way we call out that something is wrong, or that something needs to change or be fixed, is complaining. Is calling out the negative, is calling out, what we feel is wrong, what we don't like, what is not good. You know, if you think about from like a archaic or even caveman standpoint, there's kind of a human need to call out things in a direct, even negative way, saying it like it is, calling it out so that, resources or solutions or whatever needs to be obtained to solve a problem, or fix something that's going on that's painful. It's normal. It's a normal human reaction that we call it out, that we gripe about it, that we complain about it. So the human response is real, especially when we're emotionally triggered and we're going into those emotional modes within ourselves. So what I'm talking about is humanizing that response in us that does want to complain when things are wrong. When say our love partner upsets us, they're not toting their end of the deal, we think. And we call that out because we're trying to fix it. And at the same time, that calling out is an extremely common pain point and point of disconnection and frustration in a lot of love relationships and marriages. And I think it's definitely something that we just very humanly fall in the trap of. We think that we're expressing our inner selves, when in reality we are coming across to the receiver as critical, maybe even contemptuous. And then we might force that person unknowingly, without even meaning to, into a mode of defensiveness. Maybe they just turtle up and completely withdraw, and we're left thinking, I can't even share my feelings with my partner. Like, how ridiculous is that? What's wrong with them? Why won't they open up to me and my feelings? So, first of all, I will say, I personally, even as a relationship and marriage coach, sitting in a professional seat all day, having conversations with my clients on this, I'm so guilty of this. I'm guilty of doing this with my husband. I'm guilty of doing this in, many of my other relationships. I can definitely get taken by my emotional state, and I can think that I'm, expressing my inner thoughts, but I have indeed fallen off my wagon, and I'm maybe not using any kind of strategy or framework to minimize leading the other person feeling criticized by my feelings. So oftentimes when we talk about our feelings, we end up saying what we feel the other person is feeling. We end up saying things that we are judging the other person on. We end up speaking our judgments rather than our actual feelings. And I think oftentimes it's very easy to confuse feelings with thoughts and opinions. When we're talking about our feelings, or like the way we've been impacted by somebody, it is so humanly hard, and this goes against our default way of talking. It is very humanly hard to stick strictly to actual feeling words, like sticking strictly to the notions of what we're feeling, like sad, glad, frustrated, annoyed, lonely, alone. Those are all feelings that you feel inside of yourself. They're sensations that have nothing to do with judgment on somebody else. But, what I myself have fallen in the human trap of, and what so many of my clients in countless sessions humanly fall in the trap of, is thinking that they're expressing their feelings, but they're saying, I don't think you care about this relationship. I think you care about your work, more than me. I feel you're not contributing to the household chores lately. I feel like you're not measuring up. I feel like I'm doing a lot more than you. Yes, these are these are internal thoughts and opinions. And at the same time, we fare way better with our partner when we can really do the work. And I say work because it takes conscious work to talk in terms of strictly your feelings, your internal sensations that are coming from your thoughts and your opinions, your narratives, right? So let me give you an example of something that might feel like you're talking about your feelings, but easily gets interpreted as a judgment, because it is at the end of the day. So stay with me here. Say you feel rejected by your partner, and you're like, say you tried to talk with them about something yesterday. You were trying to be vulnerable. They were in work mode. They didn't see or hear you. They didn't respond the way that you really needed them to. So you come to them and you say, husband, I really felt disregarded yesterday when I walked into your office. I felt rejected by you. I felt that you ignored me, and you didn't care what I had to say, and that really hurt me. So in that format of expression, that's so human, like that is, I want to call that out. Like if you're like, yeah, Coach Jen, I just kind of sounded like that yesterday. I'm not judging you. I'm not blaming you on that. I feel like that is our default way of speaking. But the real work comes in taking out, the judgment words. When you say you feel rejected, that means that your partner had to, in fact, reject you. When you say, I felt disregarded by you yesterday, you're making a judgment. You're saying that your partner, in fact, disregarded you. You could be so right, and I want to say that with love. Like, you could be right. Your partner could have, in fact, disregarded you, rejected you in that moment, chosen their emails over you when you were coming to them. And at the same time, you will get a deeper sense of compassion and understanding, and you will get you will have a more positive connection experience as you express yourself if you do the hard work of sticking to the feeling words that are strictly about what's going on inside of you. The judgment that you're feeling because of what you observed, which is fair, you're feeling rejected, turning that into strictly the feelings that got evoked, that got that came about because you thought and opinionized that you were being rejected. I hope this makes sense. So expressing your feelings is so important in your relationship. You deserve to be heard and affirmed and understood by your partner. And at the same time, we humans have to work extra hard because it's not in our default, unless we're practicing this relentlessly, it's not in our default response mechanism to only speak about our internal feelings that don't hold judgment about what the other person is doing. But the more we can speak about our internal feelings and really minimize words that contain some kind of judgment or assessment about what our partner is doing, we have so much of a better chance to connect tighter with that other person and to really help them understand us and, be able to enter parts of their brain, where they can understand us with empathy and true compassion, because we're not we're not putting them in defense mode unintentionally, or making them feel shut down, like they got to go into shutdown mode because now they're hearing things expressed to them that we're not happy about, you know. I will say there's many sources of information that you could, take in and absorb and go down rabbit holes on. One of my absolute favorite resources on this is the nonviolent communication framework. I don't love the name nonviolent. It's an intense word, but it also makes sense of why it's named this. But the nonviolent communication framework, which is a framework created by Marshall B. Rosenberg, who is a brilliant gentleman who's traveled the globe teaching this framework for many decades. Nonviolent communication, if you just type it into Google, you will come up with endless ways that you can study up on this 4-part framework. And the second part, I won't go into this now, we can do this in another episode, but the second part of this framework is expressing your feelings. And the nonviolent communication framework is very good about really going deep on what I'm talking about, with the difference between expressing our feelings and really sticking to our internal world and our internal sensations and, what's happening with us physiologically and even emotionally, while eliminating the many feeling words that are out there that actually include, little judgments and little snippets of assessment that the receiver can definitely feel. So I encourage you to dive deeper into that framework if you wish. And I so appreciate you being here with me today. And I hope to see you next time on the next episode of Jen's Den, where we have honest conversations, get to real answers, and relationship insights that you wish someone told you a very long time ago. Peace out.